Hola, I'm Joyce Kasnick. I'm a Spanish teacher here at Steele High School. I teach levels 2 and 3 currently. I recently had the opportunity to travel to Honduras with Ohio State University. The reason I had this opportunity is that my daughter is attending medical school there, and she went on this medical missions trip last May, told me that they didn't really have any translators from the United States. So I reached out to OSU and it all went from there. This being a medical missions trip, all of the medical students from Ohio State were required to take a checked bag filled with medical items, medicines, but I was not required to. I did want to help out in some way, and so I decided to ask the school community for items that the children would need. And so I looked into what I thought they would need, and most of the items being clothing, t-shirts, underwear, socks, and I did receive a couple of fun things like stickers to give the children. And so I reached out and we made it happen. So there were 3 different communities that we set up a clinic in, and my job was to help with the setup and to help obviously translate, but I was able, while people were setting up, to set up an area where I could put the clothing for the children and the families. However, I was concerned where we put them because I didn't want them to just flock in and not go for their medical attention. So as the families came through, if I saw young children, I let them know where the area was where there was clothing for them, where they could pick out something that they needed for their family or their children. One particular incident that I remember is a little girl came up to me and asked if she could have this pair of socks, and all in Spanish, of course, and I told her absolutely, and then she said, "Do you think I could have a pair for my little brother?" And so I said, "Yes, you take him the best pair of socks that there are there, so you can have it," and she did. As an educator, this experience has changed what I do in the classroom. It has changed what the children were learning about. It has enhanced my Spanish speaking ability. I was able to reach out to our K through 12 Spanish teachers, and we all did something on Honduras in the last couple months so that the children K through 12 would understand why we were even asking for these donations, how it was going to help children in another country. I make connections now with people from Honduras. I have Facebook friends from Honduras, and it reinforced what good things can happen when good things are started at home and how it can just trickle on into other countries. One thing that really affected me by having this trip was to see how our children here in Amherst were able to make an impact on the children in a third world country. It was both inspiring and emotional for me to have that adventure and to see it all come to fruition. In closing, I want to thank the schools of Amherst for giving me this opportunity, the Board of Education, Mike Molnar, my principal, Joe Tellier, Mr. and Mrs. Tony. They were all very supportive in allowing me to have this trip and to get the community involved. Having a community outreach like this, I think, was so important. I also want to thank all the K through 12 Spanish teachers for getting on board with me and going forward with learning about Honduras. And the community, thank you so much for all your donations. They really made a difference.